so once again, we're looking at the angles created by the segment, and the angle in this case, the corner is going to be right on the circle, right? It's the corner of the angle is right on the circle. So it says find the measure of the arc or the angle indicated. So for right now, let me call this x, the question mark, let me call it x, because I don't know what it is. Sometimes the x is going to be the angle, sometimes it's going to be the arc. So that's what it says, find the arc or angle indicated. Assume the lines which appear tangent are tangent. So now what we do, the measurement of the angle, in this case x, let me multiply it by 2. So the angle multiplied by 2. And that is going to be equal to the arc that it creates. So if you notice, this angle creates this arc. So the angle times 2, in this case, is going to be equal to 122. The angle times 2 is equal to the arc that it creates.
So every time, every question, x, right?
The angle times 2. The angle could be x, the angle could be a number. So the angle times 2 is equal to the arc. So 2 times x equals 122. Now here, divide, to solve for x, divide both sides by 2. X in this case happens to be 61, right? The angle in this case is 61. Yes? The angle times 2.
So every angle is times 2?
Multiply the angle times 2, yeah. Let's take a look at another example. Now notice my angle now, it's the number, right? 81. So I'm going to go 2 times 81, because the angle times 2, right? Always multiply the angle by 2, equals, in this case, x, because that's the arc that it creates. The angle times 2 is equal to the arc. Right? 2 times 81, that's 162. And then there you go. X equals 162. So like I said earlier, sometimes the x could be the angle, sometimes it could be the arc. All right. Now let's take a look at something like this. Right? My angle is 50, right? I think we can agree that this arc is 100. Right? 50 times 2, because you multiply the angle by 2. Now the thing here it is, this arc is 100, but I'm not asking you guys for that arc. If you notice, I'm asking for this other arc. Okay, that's where the question mark is. So that's, now the tricky part is when the angle does not make the arc I'm asking. I'm asking for the other arc. The one thing that you guys can see, these two arcs combined, 100 and x, I'm going to add this, 100 plus x, because now we're talking about a whole circle. I know whole circle is 360, so I'm going to go 100 plus x equals 360. Once again, the tricky part is when the angle does not create the arc that I'm referring to. This angle, 50, makes this arc. So that's why I call this arc 100, because 50 times 2. So now here, you guys subtract 100 from each side. X, in this case, is 260. Right? The work is not that difficult, but remember, the thing is that the angle times 2 equals the arc that it creates. Any questions so far? No? All right, now let's take a look at where angle has a plus or minus in there. The 3x plus 9 is this angle. I just put it way up there because it didn't fit quite over here. But the angle is 3x plus 9. And if you notice, that angle creates this arc. So remember the angle, 3x plus 9 times 2, because you multiply the angle by 2. The angle times 2, in this case, is going to equal to 90. Because it's going to equal to that arc. Let me multiply the 2 to the inside. So I'm going to have 6x plus 18 is equal to 90. Let me subtract 18 on the right side. So I have that 6x, right? 90 minus 18, that's 72. Divide both sides by 6. So x must be equal to 12. Right? Simple, right? The angle times 2, the angle times 2 is equal to the arc that it creates. So big key here, the arc that it creates. Not just any arc, the arc that it creates. Now the tricky part is, what if the angle does not make that arc? So this angle here is 2x plus 32. So I'm going to say this arc right here is going to be 4x plus 64. because I multiply the angle by 2. Right? That arc is 4x plus 64. Once again, I multiply the angle by 2. You notice this arc and this other arc complete a circle. So I'm just going to add everything. 4x plus 64, because that's the little arc, plus 21x minus 4. This case is equal to 360 because I'm talking about the whole circle. I can simplify the left, right? 4x plus 21x, we can call that 25x. Oops. Then 64 minus 4, we can call that 60. And all this is equal to 360. Right? I just simplified the left. Now my 60, let me move it to this side as a minus 60. So I have that 25x equals 300. Let me divide by 25. And x in this case happens to be 12. So the work, the algebra work, it's simple. Now that what we're working is the angle times 2. The angle times 2 is equal to the arc that it creates. Right. Any questions? That's it. All right, hold on. Let me